Hello?
All right. What's up? Hello, everybody. How are you? Thank you for coming. As I said hello, and someone just went, not bad, haha. That was fast. How did you answer how are you so quickly with a not bad, haha? Freaky. Shut up. Someone's already square bracketing me. Anyway, hello, everybody, and welcome to the formal Waterstones virtual book event for You Will Get Through This Night. Thank you for joining me. This would usually be sat in a lovely Waterstones, sniffing that carpet. Why did I say that? A bunch of people sat cross-legged on the floor, but today we're doing it via the magic of the internet, which for some of you may be more convenient. If you have social anxiety, you might be like, heck yeah, I wouldn't want to be in a bookstore. For some other of you might be like, I wish I was in that big library energy, but here we are. And this is very exciting. The book is coming out in about I can't count, 4.5, 5.5 hours. And this is basically like the official pre-launch little party Q&A thing. So thank you all for getting it. Cheers for getting it from Waterstones. And all of you guys have asked a billion questions. So there's two ways that you guys right now, this exclusive crew of people, can ask me stuff. There is a Q&A feature, which is down there. It's different to the chat. You can ask me a question and I'll have a look at those. But a lot of you, when you got the tickets to this, submitted some questions. And I'm going to wade through those because a lot of you, they really did ask. So thank you very much. Hello, Dan, the author man. Yeah, that's me. Thank you. So we're going to jump straight in with someone called Amy Ralphs, who said, was there a cathartic element to writing this book? I'm going to say yes. Well, no, I would say that the entire process of writing this book was me personally attacking myself, going through every single part of my life, realizing what I am terrible at. And that will also be your experience reading the book. You'll be like, wow, I do all of this stuff wrong. Am I that bad? Yes, you are. But that's a good thing, right? Because when you realize there's a problem, even though you've got like a bit of a struggle to do something about that problem, you'll be better on the other side. So the entire book was cathartic in the sense that it was incredibly painful. So that's a great first question. Thank you, Amy, for coming straight in there with the pain. Someone called Beth, who put their surname as Screech. That is Bethany Screech, everybody. I don't know whether they were just being funny or if your surname is actually Screech. That would be pretty iconic, to be honest. Who said, if you could tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? Damn. See, that's quite a heavy one. That's like finale episode of Drag Race. Speak to your childhood self and admit your trauma. I do have an answer for that question, if you're ready. Someone's like, Dan, do you know if Waterstones do next day delivery? I'm not here to do customer service. I don't know. Probably. Waterstones are great. Thank you for having me. Good luck obtaining the book. How do I track my order? Okay, wow. Anyway, childhood trauma. What would I say to my younger self? What I would say, and this is the nugget of truth for any of you at any point in your life. Someone said, how do I cancel my order? Stop. Is that everything changes with time, right? You are never stuck in a situation. Something I say in the book is that feelings are temporary. So if you're ever freaking out and you're feeling bad, you're not going to feel like that forever. If you think, oh no, I feel terrible, this is really awful, you will inevitably feel different at some point. But even if your circumstances are really bad, you will literally not be trapped in that situation forever. And that's what I thought my life was as a teenager. I was like, this is my life, this is who I am, everything is going to be awful forever. Everything changed. Life is like short because you only have one. And we're all just inevitably going to die at literally any moment. Meteor, solar flare, you know how it goes. But at the same time, life is incredibly long and boring. It's just so long, and thusly your circumstances will change. So stick through it, you'll be fine. Emma said, what was the overall experience? like of writing, announcing, preparing a book during a pandemic. Yeah, that's a thing. We're all still inside. It's super weird because if I'm going to compare this to the amazing Book Is Not on Fire era, that was wild because there was a lot of stuff happening. It was like we were idiots, Phil and I, because we made the decision to release a book and go on a tour at the same time. So we were on a little minivan about to schlep around the country, and then we had to go on BBC Breakfast, and it was incredibly stressful. So it felt like, oh my God, I'm releasing a book. This is wild. So much stuff is happening. Right now, I'm doing a lot, right? So here we are. We're having this exciting virtual book event. I spoke to John Green yesterday. I've been doing all these podcasts and phoning the radio and stuff like that. But it has been sat right here. So this, what you are seeing here right now, is every single thing I've done for the last 2 weeks. I've done like 50 podcasts, phoned a million radio stations, and it's me, this sweater, and this crispy houseplant, okay? There is only so much hand washing I can do to this sweater. It's really, it's gone through it, guys. It's the official This Night era black sweater that makes Dan look like a serious author who you should take mental advice from. And yeah, pray for me. Pray for this plant. Pray for the battery of this camera. Pray for my AirPod battery that could die at literally any moment. Yeah, someone said single AirPod king. I figure because I'm slightly rotated, it looks normal here. And then I look there and there's just like a hint of an AirPod. So I look like a weird businessman with a Bluetooth headset, you know, like a dad that wears a tactical utility belt and sunglasses. And he's like, I am going to buy snacks and do nothing important, but I've got my Bluetooth headset on at all times in case I need to do business. No, but that's me right now. So here we go. How was the experience of writing it in the pandemic? I would say that it was very like, you know, I'm locked down. What the hell else am I doing? I'm doing a book. It was pretty good, actually, because I think I've said this before. There's a couple of huge, big things that I'm working on that got completely shafted by the pandemic because I was like, I want to go out and see the world. I want to do things, lots of people. No, can't talk about it yet. But a book, yeah, I can sit in my pants and type neurotically at 5 a.m. So here we go. It's been my pandemic baby. And I think that we're I mean, I'm not going to say there's anything fortuitous about an awful global pandemic, but the timing of it, at least in the UK and the USA and a few countries where it's starting to get better, is that there's books coming out. So there's like a timing saying, is life coming back to normal now? Hopefully, slowly over the course of the next year. If you're going to do anything, if you read this book and just learn a couple tips and you're like, right, I'm going to sort my life out. This is a great time to come out of the cave, know some things that you're going to try to not just repeat how it was before, but to be better going forward and be like, right, yes, next chapter of life, I'm going to learn a couple things, going to be healthy, it's going to be happy, it's going to be good. So at least for me, the timing's quite good there. Fiona just said, how are you doing today? Thank you, Fiona. The real question right there. I'm doing good. And by good, I mean incredibly stressed, but excited. It's definitely, it's so weird to just be doing all of this activity just in my pants in this house, still surrounded by boxes. Hello. Yes. In case you don't know, I'm about to move house, and obviously that moment in my life timed up exactly with when a book is coming. It's exactly like bloody the last thing. You know, last time I was like, oh, who releases a book and a tour at the same time? Who tries to annoyingly promote a book on social media while moving house? How dumb do you have to be? How dumb is that human being? That's me. Hello, nice to meet you. So that's that. Sophie Harris said, I recently started therapy. Do you have any advice for people who are just starting to seek help, and how do I get the most out of it? That's a good one. I mean, firstly, if you have had that moment where you go, is there any way in life that I could improve how I feel? Could I be happier? Are there any issues to work on? That's great. So you've already achieved quite a lot. If you've somehow managed to get therapy, either because you can afford to do it privately or because you've survived the waiting list, great, here you are. And I think that getting the most out of therapy is firstly about being honest which seems obvious, but it's not, because saying opposite person who is like, hey, I'm professionally obliged to keep your secrets and give you great advice, it doesn't mean that you are going to be honest with yourself. You know, I didn't sit down with a therapist that I saw years and years ago and go, hi, so I'm gay, that's a really big issue, and let's work through it now. I was like, so what are my issues? I don't know, I'm like, so stressed by my job. It can take you a very long time to even be honest to yourself about some things that you might have issues with, some things that are uncomfortable, but you have to just let it out. And sometimes that takes time, but I would say you need to firstly have a moment with yourself where you go, what do I want? How do I want to change? What issues do I need help with? In what way do I want to become a happier person, be more authentic, whatever? Say that to the therapist and then try to open up. So that's it. It may not be perfect, but you're doing the right thing by being on the journey. So there we go. Are you still going to therapy? I still go to therapy, and sometimes it's not like I desperately need therapy, but you know what it is for me? It's just having that routine checkup to say, hi, how are you? What are you going through? How do you feel? Is just so important to keeping your life balanced. And you could do that with your friends. You could do that with your online friends. You could do that with your family if you want to do it. It's not always about bringing up the biggest things and having the professional advice from a therapist. If you have a good casual relationship with anyone, just be like, what's on your mind? How was your week? What is the thing that you're like, you know, feeling stressed about on the inside that you don't want to get out? And then just go, hi, there we go. So good luck with that. Jane said, did you have a routine for writing the book? I don't have routines. No, I would like start typing at 11 a.m. and finish typing at 5 a.m. I'd go through 3 days of procrastination where I'd do nothing because I'm terrified and I don't know where to begin. And then I would get into the flow and I wouldn't sleep for 3 consecutive days because I'm a mess. So if any of you relate to that, it's not that you're bad at doing your classwork or whatever, you know, you're doing working from home. Hey, that's just how life is. So there was absolutely no routine whatsoever. What it was a series of deadlines where, you know, I'd have the clinical psychologist I was working with, Dr. Heather, would be like, hey, Dan, if you're going to write that thing about anxiety, can you send it to me by Friday so I can review it? And I'd be like, oh, so that means I'm going to do it on Friday. Because, hey, that's how it works. Are you talking shit about my crispy plants? Look, I'm just going to wait. It's slightly more alive looking now. Don't come for my plant. I have one job while I'm in lockdown, which is to walk around, act like I'm busy, and water a plant. So there we go. What's the plant's name? I don't know. What do you want to name the plant? Use the Q&A feature down in here to name the plant, and we'll review that because that's obviously important content. Eloise said, what was the most difficult thing about this book? Wow. Is there anything you think could have made it easier? I would say everyone's just saying Derek and Susan. Why did I even ask? Okay. Honestly, the most difficult thing about this book was just deciding what's in it and what the order is, because I didn't just want to waffle for 300 pages. I wanted it to be super useful and to be structured in a way that's like, hey, I'm learning something and it's easy. So the hardest thing was working out what are the 3 parts, the this night, tomorrow, and the days after, and what are we going to talk about in each? And there was months, literally, before I even typed a word of the book, just planning the contents page of the book. Because I'm not somebody, a lot of people have different creative processes. Some people just like go, I don't know what I'm going to paint. I've just got like an easel and a brush, and I'm just going to see what happens. I'm like, I need to plan every single thing so meticulously that there is no room for surprise or failure. So I'm just going to plan every single thing so that when I type, I go, boop, it's done. So that's how I worked. Jess Crawford said, are there any tips about writing that you could share with aspiring writers? Yes, whether you are an aspiring novelist or just a weird K-pop fan fiction writer, there is a good tip, which is just to start. There's a whole section on the book about procrastination and how to get over it. And, you know, procrastination doesn't mean that you're lazy. It usually means that you care more than you might think about this thing, and you're scared of doing a bad job. It's important to you, and it's that fear of failure or not doing a great job that's preventing you from starting. So for me, it's like, just start, just start, just write something, anything, literally just write title. In this essay, I will, and then sometimes literally just starting gets you over the line. So if you are a procrastinator, tell yourself, I am not going to write anything. I'm going to write chapter 1. Janine walked into the bakery. It was a hot, flustery day. And then I saw him, ... And then tell yourself that's it. And then you'll naturally find yourself keep on going. So that's what I'd say, personally. Hannah Cottrell said, how do you best overcome being overwhelmed by thoughts? Yeah, that is a huge one for me. I'm someone that, like, my mind will just conjure something that I don't like thinking about. And then my mind will just go, whoa, that's really compelling because that's really terrible. Dan, I just need to say all your attention span right now. Just think about this bad thing that you just imagined. How bad would that be if that happened? Or what is this cringe memory that just resurfaced? Or how stressed are you about this thing? Oh my God. And then whatever I'm doing with my day, I drop it and I just go, wow, yeah, my brain really wants me to just think about this one terrible thing. And then I go, oh my God, it's so bad. Imagine if it happened. How bad would it be if it happened? This is just what I'm going to do every single day of my life. No. And in the book, we talk about how you can be mindful. And that's about, you know, acknowledging a thought, but not giving into it and letting it go. You can just try to use your senses to distract yourself. So I could be like, oh, water. There we go. Oh, God, my finger's dripping. Right. Well, that's distracted me. I'm thinking about something else now. And any change of activity. For me, yeah, someone just said, is that a One Direction mug? I have smashed every single glass and mug in my house. And all I have is a mug that one of my followers, maybe you're here, gave me about 5 years ago. And for some reason, this is how old this mug is. That is Liam Payne's curly hair right there. Do you see that? This is a vintage One Direction mug that has not smashed or been destroyed by the dishwasher. And it is all I have left in my life right now. So yeah, for me, when I go down like an obsessive thought spiral, the first step is to just recognize that I'm doing it. And now, because I've gotten quite good at recognizing that and learning how to get myself out of it, if I just noticed, I just spent 5 minutes zoning out, being up in my head, thinking about something awful that I didn't want to think about. Well, let's go do something else with my day, because that's not good. Zoe Stark, daughter of Ned. How do you push through and get work done when you're having a rough mental health day? Yeah, like if you've got some class deadline and you're like, oh, I'm feeling terrible, or your boss says, I need you to do this. Great, I'm having the worst day of my life. What do? I think that you just need to have a little moment where you say to yourself, right, I'm going to focus on this task and maybe it will distract me from my mental health. Sometimes work is a great thing to give you an excuse to not deal with your mental health issues. But instead of thinking, oh no, oh, I'm feeling stressed by this thing I have to do, and I'm having a bad day, and just letting these two forces squish against you and burst your brain like a bubble, take a moment to deal with each. So you go, right, I'm having a bad day, I'm doing the work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself an hour, 10 minutes to not freak out about this thing that I have to do, to just try and change how I feel. So don't just let the two things overwhelm you. Take a moment to go, boom, I'll do that in an hour. The first thing I'm going to do now is change how I'm feeling. I'm just going to do something. I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to watch one episode of a TV show. I'm going to talk to a friend, get something off my chest. And then when you snap yourself out of that negative mood, just enough to change your perspective so you're not overwhelmed, you might think, right, I've given myself enough of a boost to get through to the other side of this work that I have to do. Good luck with it. We have Zara now, who asked 9 questions. Okay, so Zara got that ticket, saw the email and went, Zara, the chat right now, you fully asked 9 questions. I mean, work, you got this ticket, girl. You do whatever you want. Okay, let's see what some good ones. Wow, bloody hell. Question 3, what do you wish to achieve with this book? Damn. I think for me, and I've said this, which is, I just want literally one person to not struggle through a situation that they feel like that's just how they're made and they're, you know, they're supposed to feel this way. If they just learn a tip and then they do something different, then that's great. So the idea that I've gone through, all of the struggles that I've talked about over the years, and that someone could just take one thing from it, hey, that's good. If my life by default has done something for someone else through making this book, then that's great. Question 5 was, why did you choose this color scheme? Black and yellow. I mean, I like it. I mean, firstly, anything that I do, it's going to be black. Hello. But then I quite liked the idea of the night. It's the mental health. You're in the darkness. You're struggling. But then there's hope. You can learn things. The light, it pierces through the darkness. It's yellow because it's a happy color. It's smiley. I like gold. Like gold is kind of yellowy. It's one of the only colors that I kind of tolerate. So this kind of bumblebee energy. Yeah, I like it. Thank you. What was your playlist during the writing process? Instrumental music. I can't listen to music with lyrics while I'm doing any kind of writing because it just distracts me. So I listen to a lot of classical music, just like soft, easy piano stuff, a lot of Philip Glass, Ludovico Einaudi, and a lot of random Spotify playlists for instrumental stuff, that music for plants playlist. And then lastly from Zara, okay, here's a good one. What's the weirdest place or position you wrote this book in? I was having a day where I really hurt my back because I had terrible posture. So I literally lay on the floor under a coffee table. I put a cushion on my lap and I used the cushion to pin my laptop against the top of the coffee table so it was locked into place. And then I just went for about 11 hours. Doctors would say, you're weird, don't do that. Right, one here from Sina. How long has writing the book been a project? I mean, probably since early last year was when I first started taking it seriously. I think it took a few months to write. It took just as long to plan. And then there were like all the conversations about what even is this before that. So it's probably been over a year, which is wild. Are there any topics you didn't get to cover? Yeah, there are. I mean, this book, like the thing is, I wanted to make a book. I appreciate that a lot of you guys here want to hear a lot about me, but I wanted this book to have wide appeal, right? I want you to be able to give this to your friends and your family, and just for people walking past a Waterstones, which is the only shop that is valid for the next hour. And when this nondescript person is walking past a specific Waterstones, to see this, when you're like, will God ever give me a sign? I wanted this book cover to be like the sign. That's like, hey, are you the person that is in a really bad time? You will get through this night. And they read it and they go, oh, good. There was enough of this guy in it to feel like I related to him. And it made me feel less ashamed of my mental health story because he used himself as an example. There are enough jokes in it to make it funny so I could get through the pain. And I learned a lot without being like, I don't care. So for all of the people that are not interested in me, I wanted this book to be good for them. So there was a lot of stuff that I could have added that I cut out, because if I ever was writing something and it got to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm telling a funny story and it's more funny than it is helpful, or like it's a bit self-indulgent because I just want to tell this story. It had to go because I wanted this book to not be this thick and no one ever finished it. I want you to read this in 2 days, and then when you need it, you'll come back to it and you'll read it again. I want every single one of you to read this book in pieces 16 times so that when you are in a moment and you need to remember something, it's there. When you want to try out an exercise, it's there. When you get to the middle, the tomorrow part, and you want to make some changes to your life and be practical, you can go through them and you can try them. So that's what I wanted the book to be good. And also, Sina said, please stop cutting your hair. I will cry. Look, the long over the ear look, it just got a bit mushroomy after some time. It was just a bit too much. I would really have to commit to it for several months, and I just wasn't ready for that. Rosie Jessup said, what content are you going to be making in the future? Oof, that's a big one. Yeah, I think, well, firstly, there is something that is being made for my YouTube channel in June, which is YouTube, and I'm going to talk about this when there's more information, are doing a Pride series of things, and I am doing like a thing as part of that series. It's really cool. There's loads of people doing it. It's got like Trixie Mattel, Ollie Alexander, other people from Drag Race, and it's going to be good. And I'm doing a show for that, hoping that something else that I'm working on I can talk about soon. We'll see what happens. Here's finger crossing. Oh, Maddie's got a fun one here. What did you enjoy the most about being able to design your house? Did you make an owl slide? No, there is no owl slide. The funnest thing for me, funnest, yeah, that's a word. I'm an author. Shut up. Was being able to think about how I want to use it. Because when you rent a place, it's like not your house, right? Obvious. But for me, I was like, I want an office. Like, firstly, Phil wants a room that he can film videos in. And we're just going to put it all in there so it's not like cables and stress. I want a little nerd cave that isn't this like weird, you know, corner of all these places. So it's been really nice just going, this is my space and I can make it work for what I want to do. That's been very fun for me. Monique said, what was the most difficult part of the book to write? Honestly, I would say the very start. It opens with this chapter. I think it was the first thing I leaked on Twitter, the understanding mental health. And I was like, if someone is an alien, if they've never thought about their brain and how they think and feel before, how do you start at the absolute ground floor so that anyone can be like, what is this book? What is my brain? How do I work? Help. And how do we go from there? And it was like the last thing I wrote. I did lots of specific things. I was like, forward, yeah. Inspiring epilogue, maybe. Yeah, I'll finish that later. Let's talk about social media. Let's talk about getting a good night's sleep. I'm going to talk about going to therapy and medication. And then the start, I was like, right, okay, I know what the book is now. Aisha said, do you think there will be an in-person signing for the book post-lockdown? I would love there to be. I like going on a little book tour. I think it would be good to go to New York, see some other people. Maybe if enough of you recommend this book to random people in your life, Waterstones in 6 months will be like, let's do a Christmas book signing. So that would be good. Hey, Waterstones listening, do that. Jamie would like to ask, what advice would you give to me someone who's trying to become a mental health advocate? I would say that every single one of us can be a mental health advocate just by feeling comfortable talking about things, just by sharing how we really feel, and by talking to the people in our lives about making sure that they are okay. Every single one of us, just on a one-by-one basis, has the ability to make a difference just by saying, how are you, and being there for the people in your life. And also just being an example of being like, hey, guess what, guys? I'm not perfect. I spend a lot of my time worrying. I freaked out yesterday. People will be like, thank you for saying that. I feel less weird now. Kate, what are you most excited for when lockdown's over? Oof. Going to the cinema. I miss the smell of Coke spilled on carpets. I miss slightly stale popcorn, getting sticky stuff all over my hands, sitting in it, standing on it. They're like, they're open today. Yeah, but like, I'm staying inside because I don't want to be like, day one, haven't been vaccinated yet, and I got COVID, so I'm going to get jabbed the F up. I'm not going to risk it. I've not come this far to just get sneezed on, because I'm saying it's probably fine for a lot of people, but you know the luck that I manifest in the world. Let's be completely honest. Emma said, will you be coming back to YouTube now that you finished with your book? Well, the book isn't the reason why I haven't been on YouTube. It's because after my gay video, I wanted to spend some time thinking, who the hell am I? What do I want to do with my life? And thinking about the kind of things that I want to work on next. And I have been doing a couple of those things. And after this next gay video, we'll see what happens. Charlotte Swift, if you could choose your favorite page, what would it be? Damn, it's like a favorite child. I'm going to say the acknowledgement, because that very first page, the acknowledgement in the book, looks great. I mean, let's look at it now. You will get through this night by Dan. It's not the first page, it's after the contents. Liar. Look at that. I mean, that is just cool looking. Look how beautiful that is. Shout out to Louise Evans, who designed this book. But also, more than it being beautiful, I think that the sentiment represents a lot to me personally. I'm not just saying like, thanks for buying my book. It's like, I mean this. Do you have any advice for an aspiring author? Said Hannah. Yeah, write a lot, never give up, show it to all your friends and family, ask for their feedback. And if you get turned down once, don't give up, show it to everybody, turn up to that book publisher's house and throw every single page of your manuscript through their window like a paper airplane. As long as you don't get arrested, use your common sense to find that fine line, but persist. Haven said, what are you most grateful for? I'm honestly very grateful for all of you, in the sense that I've just been out here vibing, talking about myself and my life. And what's the earpod for? It's so I can hear you, but like not look weird because I'm wearing headphones, but I've got like one earpod in. So it's like, oh my God, he can't hear you. But like I half can. And that interrupted the most sentimental question, which was, I like that by default. Oh yeah. Everyone's like, bro, who are you talking to? Wait, just... Yeah, I was talking to someone from Waterstones like 40 minutes ago. Walking around. I like to just look cool, like the Bluetooth dad with the earpiece in. Is there a page in this book about what to do when you realize you're a cosmic idiot that's just been wearing a single AirPod for literally no reason whatsoever? Whatever. Changing the subject, Emily said, describe the book in one word. Nice. Malia said, what advice would you give to a university graduate going through the I can't find a job crisis? Whoa. Yeah, you have to accept that you may just need to get a job to pay the rent, and then life is all about balancing what do I want to do versus what do I have to do to get through this situation. And based on our luck, our circumstances, and everything in life, it's about finding that balance. And sometimes you'll find something that you like just enough to pay the bills, just enough, and you're like, yeah, this is okay. And some people will be like, no, I must pursue my dream of taking inflatable ballet on stage. And that's a journey that you have to go on internally. But I believe you can do it. Which part of the book was the easiest to write and why? The part on procrastination, because it gave me an excuse not to procrastinate. Kemp said, what was the most challenging thing about growing up on YouTube? I definitely think that like, not just cringy editing, hello internet, oh, I'm going to delete my, like obviously I'm not going to delete my videos. I love the cringe of hello internet and the growth of my creative process being on YouTube. I think for me, it's like who I am as a person is there as well. Because I look back at younger Dan and I obviously see this person who didn't know who he was yet. And he was in a lot of pain and felt like he had to act a certain way. And for me, it's a bit like, I wish that not just my ability to edit videos better, but who I was as a person, how I expressed myself and what I wanted to create was as authentic as I am now back then. But that's not how life works. We all go on these growth journeys coming from a place to a place. And no matter how old you are now, no matter what point you are in life, you will grow, you will improve, and everything will be great. And I'm going to block everybody that's done a square bracket in the chat. Hikmah said, any more books in the future? Maybe, yeah. I mean, this was quite serendipitous. It was the lockdown book. It was the mental health book. Who knows? Because, you know, I have these options, right? If I'm creatively expressing myself, what's it going to be? Is it going to be an hour-long YouTube video? Is it going to be an hour-long stage show that I take on tour? Is it going to be a book? There's so many options, and I like the idea of writing a book, and who knows what it would be? Would it be fiction? Would it be erotic fiction? There's so many different ways I could express myself. Oh, here's a good one. Sarah Benford said, my maths teacher in year 10 was called Mr. Davis. He claimed that he taught you in school, and I've wondered for years if that's true. That is true. I had a math teacher called Mr. Davis, and it was in his year 9 math class that I did not pay attention to the very first lesson about algebra. And because my mind wandered for like literally 10 minutes when he was explaining the fundamental concept of A plus B equals C, that I struggled for about 6 months. So like, please, like if you're ever going to pay attention in a class, just the first 2 minutes. I had this moment when I was on an end of school trip where some chaotic friends of mine, we were at a bowling alley, and one of them changed my name on the bowling screen to bisexual, thinking they were doing something funny, which is like obviously slightly traumatic and could have been an incident, but low-key nobody was paying attention, so it was fine. And then Mr. Davis walked by and just went, Dan, why is your name bisexual? So, yeah. Shout out Mr. Davis. Owen Denston said, what is in your opinion the closest thing to real magic? I think it's just the miracle of life, the idea that once upon a time there was a cosmic bang, and thanks to, you know, complete coincidence, luck, circumstance, and evolution, evolution. Here we are having this conversation today. The entire universe is a miraculous mistake, just like my career. And I think that the infinite possibilities of our random universe is quite magical. Aisha said, what's something that you wanted to put in the book but your editor made you take out? I mean, luckily, I've been quite good at being like, I'm going to put whatever I want to put, but swearing. My natural state is obviously swearing a lot. I think in the original version of Basically I'm Gay, before I read what I wrote, it had about 70 F words in it. And then I reviewed it and I was like, it's kind of just a bit much. So then that became like 37 or something. In this book, I was like, I don't want to like, and this is the thing again, right? I appreciate that you guys would love all the Fs, but I genuinely want this book to help a lot of random people that don't know who I am yet. So it has 3 or 4 tasteful swears and inappropriate moments of humor, but not enough to make somebody throw it across the room and not sort out their mental health. Amara said, can you drive? Yeah, but I haven't since I was 17. And also when I went to university, my mum sold my car without asking me. Get wrecked. Rachel said, what is one piece of advice you would give to young people about going into the theatre or creative arts or media? I think that's quite similar to the last one, which is you may, you know, if someone's like, I'm going to become a doctor, it's easy for them. How dare they have a career? But if it's what you want to do, pursue your dreams. Susanna said, I didn't know I was gay when I started watching a video, but I feel like a lot of people did over the last 10 years. Yeah, I mean, that's wild that my mysterious journey coming to terms with my identity and sexuality probably happened for a lot of people that watched me, whether they found out before or after a result of my video. And I think that's another good example of how me simply just existing, whatever my life story is, just happening out there on YouTube, if that's done something for other people, great, wonderful, I'm glad. Megan Romaine said, tell us something you learned while writing the book that now you use or think about all the time. I think for me, it's about being present, which is I spend a lot of time either, you know, thinking about things, cringy things that I did in the past, things that I regret and just feeling depressed over, you know, things from the past, or worrying about something in the future, feeling very stressed about something that I've got to do and just not enjoying life because I'm too busy panicking about that. There is a moment, look, I'm a person, I exist in physical space. Look, there's things I can do now. I can sip some water out of Liam's curly head. So for me, being present and not spending so much time just imagining things that stress me out, that's a big one for me. Rachel said, not a question, but thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for being kind. There is a moth in the room. Dimitri said, what is your advice for those who've tried therapy and haven't found it helpful? I've been in and out for 10 years and sometimes I feel like it's only made things worse. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, if they're younger especially, sometimes they get, you know, they get taken to counselors or something, and because it's not them and it's not their choice, it feels a bit like you feel bad, it's not working for you. People are just saying like, oh, go do this and it'll fix. I think that it really has to be something that you lead, and, you know, therapists are mind readers and they don't know you, and they don't always know the best way to do exactly what you want. It's about going, okay, how do I feel? How do I want to feel? Who am I? What kind of person do I want to be? What are the things that make me feel bad? What are the issues that I might have with my life or my identity? And then you just have to say to this other person, hey, you're the professional that's here to do it in the right way. Here's how I feel. Here's how I want to feel. And then you know, make it happen. And that's a really tough thing, but definitely a lot of, you know, when you're put on autopilot and it's like, hey, just try and help me out, it's not going to work for you. So you have to have that moment where you go, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want. I'm going to make it happen. So good luck. Rihanna, is this the actual Rihanna? Rihanna Ross, right? Said, what is your favorite item of clothing that you own? Wow. Hey, this is pretty good. This is a pretty good one. This is, yeah, my intellectual black jumper. I got it from Japan in a museum, and it's made out of a material, I don't know if you can see this, that is like concertinaed, and what it means is it can never crease. So you can literally throw it up in a ball and yeet it to the side of the room and it will never crease, which is great, because right now I am throwing it on the floor every single day and putting it back on. Very practical for myself. Madison Weil said, when did you first decide you wanted to write a book like this? I mean, it's been, you know, a lot of possibilities. I think for me, it's really when the opportunity presented itself with the lockdown and everything, it seemed like the right time. It seemed like a good project. It was one of those things where basically when I thought about it, I couldn't not make this book, right? Because it would have been much more fun for me to go on a silly tour, talking about how gay I am, joking about this, that, and the other. But this book will help people in a very serious way. So no matter how it goes, it was like the most important thing, you know. Tabitha Walton Lane said, how has the process of designing your new home been mental health wise? Stressful. Like working with builders, being in charge of everything. Obviously, me and Phil, we want to do everything. So we want to come up with all the ideas. We want to make sure everything is exactly perfect. And it's been a real struggle. But now, several years later, it's going to be wonderful to have a home that, you know, I'm not just giving all my money to some random landlord in Norfolk. #renting. Ria hitting me with the important question here. Who is your main in Apex Legends? Wow. I don't really have enough time to play the game a lot. So I usually just play whatever legend is in the challenge to complete the battle pass because I care about the cosmetics. But I really love Bloodhound and Octane on a spiritual level. There we go. James said, what's your favorite thing about being queer? I think the culture. I think that it's no secret that when people have struggles, they create amazing art and communities. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, gay music and like drag shows and all this stuff, it's so weird. Why do they need to like bring attention to it? I don't want to have any attention for being gay. I want to hide it. And now that I'm more comfortable with myself, I'm like, it's amazing. Seeing all these people being so confident with their personalities, you know, like drag, it's all the music. I just think it's really wonderful. And I'm very proud of people that are in the same situation, creating and being proud of themselves. Amelia asks, have you any plans to go on the road again? I would love to go on the road again. I really enjoy being on tour because it's a really present thing, right? Like being a YouTuber is all being inside. It's all imagining things on the internet. It's like talking to a camera, looking at yourself, edit for 10 hours, and then being on Twitter. Going on tour is like being in the moment all the time. You're meeting real people. You're having real moments. You've got like something to do every minute of every day. There's no time to have thoughts or experience mental health when every hour of your day is planned. So inevitably at some point, I'd love to do that again. Caitlin said, are you excited for your next project or ready for a big old nap? See, here's the thing, right? Like I am absolutely ready to go into a full coma for about a year. By the time this book has happened and I move into this new place and whatever, you know, this pride thing on YouTube is, I'm going to be ready for the biggest nap ever. But the other things that I'm doing, they might be like, oh, damn, lockdown, it's kind of ending. People do be getting vaccinated. And I'm sure all of you are like, hey, whatever you're doing, Dan, go, go, go. So maybe like a 2-day nap and then we'll see what happens next. Freya, do you have any advice going from secondary school into college or sixth form? Yeah. For me, it was a lot better actually, because, you know, the classes got smaller. Time with the teachers was a lot more intimate. That sounded weird. And a lot of the bad kids left the school, which meant that it was more chill. It wasn't great. And then that got counterbalanced by the pressure being more because the work was harder. So ironically, for someone who just wrote this book, don't take psychology unless you love memorizing a million facts and figures and studies, because Milgram can GTFO TBH. Just put that out there. Grace said, what's next for your career? Will you ever go back to doing things like stereo lives again? Yeah, the stereo shows I did were very fun. They came at a great time when I literally couldn't do anything else. So that was wonderful. I love doing things live, things like this right now. So whether that is on another recurring process or just randomly, who knows, maybe I'll casual gaming on Twitch. I would like to do that more in the future. So yeah, that's on it. I've got a couple one here and then I will dive into the Q&A section. So if you've got any other questions right now, guys, pop them in the thing. Did it take you a long time to find the right therapist, said Blanche? Yeah, it took me like 2 or 3 attempts just because there was like, a guy that he was older and he had this very heterosexual energy, and it didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I'd ever open up to him. There was a woman who made me feel slightly nervous because they seemed slightly nervous, and it just wasn't right. And I just had to keep going on these first sessions until I found someone that was like, I kind of like your vibe, so it's worth pursuing. Adrian said, would you ever get a tattoo? I hate committing to anything. I don't like labels. I don't like being put in the box. I don't like people asking me questions about my personal life, implying that I need to decide how I feel about things. Same thing. As if I would ever like a single image enough to have it on me forever. I'm too floozy for that, people. I don't want to commit. Where would it go? What if I don't like it? Ooh, I'm not spontaneous enough to do that. I love it for other people. Think it's cool, think it's hot, think it's a beautiful artistic interpretation. For me, I just don't think it will happen. And Sophia said, has this book made you emotional in any way? Yeah, it's made me very happy, sad, emo, that, you know, all of this from me is out there. It feels like a full circle moment for me, knowing that I went through so much of my life just feeling like I wasn't great, and that it didn't have to be that way. And now hopefully I can do that for some other people. It's like all the stress of doing loads of work with the anxiety of putting something so personal out there, combined with the deep happiness that hopefully it will help other people. And Amy says, what about a semicolon tattoo? I don't even know. I think there may be one semicolon in this book. I do not know how to use semicolons. There is a piece of punctuation, and I don't know when else I'll be able to talk about this, called an M dash. And what that means is you can basically just do a dash or a hyphen for basically anything. It can be a comma, it can be an ellipse, it can be a full stop, semicolon, a bracket. I don't, all these other things, I don't even care. For me, it's so natural. If I'm writing something, I'm like, blah, 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 I'm making a point dash this. And if the copy editor I worked with in the book didn't tell me it's kind of weird that every single sentence in your book has a dash in it, I would. It is actually valid. You are allowed to do it. It's only weird if people think it is weird to use it so often, but it's valid. And I didn't even know it was a thing. I just found myself being drawn to the dash, thinking I was committing a English language crime, until someone said, Dan, it's the M dash, pop off. So there we go. Right. Are you ready? That was disgusting. I'm very sorry. For the next 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to see, what have you guys asked right now? Because you guys live right now, you're valid. Let's see. And what if they're all bad? Have we thought about that? Oh, because the Waterstones team, they were like, here is a series of great questions people asked. And I might scroll through this in silence for just 15 minutes, just being like, there was simply nothing. Love said, have you finished learning Space Dementia on the piano? I kind of did. Which is a song by Muse. This is a good thing for my mental health. I'm learning a lot more piano songs right now. I'm trying to get a piano in my new place. And I'm going to take it more seriously because it's one of those hobbies that forces you to spend a bit of your day practicing. When I was a teenager and I attempted to learn piano, I was like, this is boring. I don't want to do it. Now, as a stressed person, I'm like, I wish I could have half an hour just to go doodle-a-doodle-a-doo. So yeah, thanks for asking. How is Colin? Colin the dog is doing well. Apparently it's helped my family get through the lockdown. This is one thing I don't know. Did I make a point in it? I think I could have I could have written a whole 10-page chunk about pets, which is just that the act of looking after another living thing and feeling like you love it and it loves you really boosts your mental health. Rest in peace, Norman, the mysteriously elderly betterfish. Obviously Steve, genuinely looking at pigeons here in London is a mood boost. I don't know why. Just watching little birds fight is really entertaining and has gotten me through the year. And that is bizarre. So do not get a dog if you're not going to commit to the dog and love the dog and walk the dog and take care of the dog. Like a baby, it's not going to fix your marriage, people. Getting a dog isn't going to cure your depression, but it will give you an excuse to go outside, to care for something, and it will make you feel grateful. And this is that thing that I spoiled in the book teaser today, which is even when you're at your lowest moments, if you find one thing that you like and makes you happy and you feel grateful for, that can really keep you tethered to reality and keep you held down. So this is the benefit of that. Is the book waterproof, said Ingrid? No. I do not think it is. But if you try that, I'm sure Waterstones would love you to get another book. Did you have any alternative titles? Said Anya. Yeah, I almost considered dropping The Night because I was like, is The Night weird? Does it sound too poetic almost? If it was just, you will get through this, that is so vague that it's like, anyone will get through anything. This book is for you. But I think that Night, it's not just poetic sounding and pretty. It really is a metaphor for not just the reality of the fact that nighttime, when you're alone with your thoughts, is a very vulnerable time for your mental health, but just that the day is coming, the sunrise is inevitable, and you will get through it. So I'm happy that I stuck with it. Ellie said, how was the haircut that Phil gave you? Yes, in case you don't know, I let my grossly unqualified friend cut my hair. It's all right, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to show you the back because I've seen the back of my head, and I'm going to wait for it to grow out and then get someone to cut it in a straight line. So Ellie, thank you for supporting this event. I will not give you a 360 of my head. Oof. Chloe said, what was your thought process doing the signatures? I mean, I've got an example right here, signed by Dan. What do you think of this? So my signature used to be :Dan, which was cute. If I gave that to somebody now, they might be like, that's weird. Apart from you, I'm sure you appreciate it. So I was like, what is Dan's adult signature? Generic, doctor-esque, means nothing. It's just a squiggle. So there it is there. What it's supposed to look at these greasy fingerprints. It's supposed to look like either Daniel, can you see like Daniel, or just Dan with like an A or an N. Is it Dan? Is it Daniel? Is it an A? Is it an N? Is it an L? Who knows? But it looks professional. It can mean anything you want it to mean. That's the truth right there. I completed my last final exam of uni today. How do I deal with the crushing existential crisis that has to come with it? Yes, no, it's fun. I mean, obviously you are leaving a period of life where everything is dictated for you, and that can be really terrible. So it's a great time to get this book and to know how to look after yourself. But my art pop could mean anything. Exactly, Sophie. You know, just make authentic choices, do the best that you can in your circumstances, be fair to yourself, set boundaries, be honest with yourself, and do the right things for the right reason. And time will just happen, and everything will be more or less as fine as you can make it. So, hey, here I am. I had never had a plan for anything. How are you going with only a few hours left until the release? It's 8:30. Darn, that's scary. I think I said to someone on Twitter earlier, I was like, one day until the book's out, one day. And then I posted an Insta story that had a countdown feature on it. And then the countdown just said 4 hours left. And I was like, so yeah, I guess at midnight, I'll be like, it's out. And then I'll see what happens. I'll see what the heck happens. It's very exciting. And the fact that this is happening whilst I'm packing even more things into boxes is simply bad planning, but is absolutely the luck that I put out there into the world. So there we go. Hi, my name is Sophia. Thanks for saying that, Sophia. What was your favorite time to write? I'm not, and this is the thing, a lot of people, there's the whole 9 to 5 thing. I don't do time. I don't do being normal. I'm someone that usually wakes up, does a couple of things. In the afternoon, I procrastinate, play a video game for an hour, and then I start writing, and I'll write from like 2 p.m. to 2 a.m., which is not normal, but it's just how my energy works. So if that's you and you're like, I'm not a morning person, I'm not a day person, hey, I am with you there. Laura again with the how are you? I'm good. And what did you have for dinner? I haven't had dinner yet because I'm weird, nocturnal, and I eat at like 9:30. So that's what I'm going to do after this. Chloe said Domino's to celebrate. Did Domino's do vegan cheese? The last time I had Domino's was maybe that mukbang with Phil. I think that may be a I've moved house celebration. It feels too premature for me because like, even though the book comes out tonight, I have to support it a lot over the next few days. And it's going to be quite stressful and overwhelming for me just seeing the book being released over the next few days. So I think maybe whenever I finish moving out of box life, then it'll be the time for the celebratory pizza. I think that's good. And there we go. Oh, shall I look for one last question? Who will have the honor of having the question that is so perfect? Amy said, is there an LGBTQPA section in the book? Yeah, there is a whole section on identity, living your truth, authenticity, dealing with trauma, if that's your situation. That is a big part of the story for me, and it will be for you. Jessica said, pineapple on pizza. Get the hell out, Jessica. You are not valid. Me and Phil, or Phil and I, they're actually both fine. So people that go Phil and I are just being pedantic. However, I like being flamboyant, and so I will say Phil and I just to sound extravagant with my use of the English language, because I just like making life difficult for people who speak it as a second language, I guess. But me and Phil is more natural for me. And Rosanna, oh, okay, here's a good one. Are you burning that jumper when you move? Maybe. It might be highly flammable. I don't know. I'll be like, what is the last podcast that I'm doing? What is the last radio show I'm calling into? What is the last Zoom? I mean, I'm doing Good Morning America, something with the Views YouTube channel, BBC Pro. I don't know. I'll be like, what is the last thing? And then I'll be like, there we go. Yeet. It actually smells okay right now. I just symbolically want to set it on fire, like a good mental health moment where I just go, namaste, this has been very wonderful. Ignite everything, the past doesn't exist. Burn it all and dance in the ashes of the future. Because that's Dan. I have issues with commitment, and I don't like being held to anything. So there we go. Was that a good last question? I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. This has been very lovely. I really appreciate that some of you got an extra book or a ticket just to join and ask the questions. That makes me feel very happy. And everyone will be so jealous that they didn't see this whole thing or the highlights or whatever. So that's very wonderful. I really hope that the book does something for you. I hope that you just enjoy hearing the personal stories from me, that you laugh because, here's me, Reasons Why Dancer Fail, just talking about the things that I find embarrassing, to use as an example. But honestly, read the book, take it to heart, try a couple of the things, like really just try it, do the exercises, try a couple of the pro tips, see if they make you feel better. And if you do, then hey, me accidentally falling forward through life has achieved something. So I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who asked a question, all the people that didn't and are just silently lurking. Thank you to Waterstones for having me. And hopefully I'll see you all either in a video somewhere on the internet or maybe one day in person. So thank you very much. I'm going to have something that isn't a pizza and then cry for 3 hours waiting until midnight. Thanks.